The outrage not only being directed at Republicans, frustration from voters has also been confronting Democratic lawmakers at town halls, demanding stronger resistance and a real strategy moving forward. And then adding to that disarray for the party, a new NBC poll just released found 27% of voters had a positive view of the Democratic Party right now, only 27%. NewsNation contributor Kurt Bardella is with us. He's also a veteran political and media strategist. Good morning to you. First of all, the hands-off protests. What do you make of the message and the impact around these demonstrations over the last several days?
Well, I think anytime you can get a couple 100,000 people throughout the country to mobilize and organize and be visible, I think that means something's happening. Back when I was a Republican, I remember the very same type of mobilization amongst the grassroots, and that's what led to the Tea Party revolution in 2010. That saw a massive tidal wave, red wave in the midterm elections that changed the balance of power in Washington. I think people here in DC, members of Congress, should be very wise to listen and watch and see the energy that is being generated by this. Because I'll tell you, since the 2024 election, energy and mobilization are not words you would have associated with the Democratic Party. Yet here we are just 3-4 months into Trump's presidency, and that's starting to take shape.
You've got some political apathy, but also approval ratings for both parties dropping. Specifically talking about the Democrats here, Kurt, what is it that they stand for? That's the question among those, even within the party, moving forward. What is that message? And then the question following that is, and who in the party is ready to lead?
Well, I'll answer your second question first. I think that one of the key pivotal moments so far in this trajectory was what we saw last week with Senator Cory Booker breaking the modern day filibuster record, speaking on the Senate floor for 25 hours. That was the first time I think that the people in the Democratic Party saw somebody try to claim a leadership mantle that's been vacant for the last, 150 days or so. And that was a sign of hope, a sign of encouragement. I think that's part of the reason why there was such a robust reaction this week with these protests was they are all sitting around going, finally, someone did something. To answer your first question, the one thing Democrats have got to remember, you cannot beat something with nothing. It's not enough just to be against someone or against a policy. You've got to advertise to the American people what your party would do to meaningfully impact positively the lives of everyday working American families.
And do we have a clear picture of what that looks like?
No, at this second, that's the problem with the Democratic Party. They have not articulated what that change would mean. We get it. You're against Donald Trump. You think the tariffs are bad. You think that what they would call his run amok of the Constitution and checks and balances is awful and a threat to democracy as we know it. But that still doesn't inform me, just the average person living in this country, worrying about getting my kids to school on time and to soccer practice, how putting you in power would make my life easier. That's what Democrats need to hone in on.
And of the issues, and there are many important ones, the economy is the top of the list for so many. How do the Democrats frame a message around that?
It's all about contrast. And I think it's mostly, I think Americans want to feel like whoever is in Washington, whoever's in power, actually gives a darn about their lives. So you can set this contrast up very powerfully, which is saying, hey, this past week, you probably have less in your savings account than you did the week before. You have less in your retirement account than you did the week before. What are Republicans doing? They're golfing. They're on vacation. They're minimizing it, saying it's not a big deal. But you and I know that losing just $1,000 of your nest egg is a big deal. That's the messaging I want to see from Democrats.
Right. So it's recognizing the pain, but then offering a solution. What might that look like?
The solution is one, we need to stop the bleeding, to return stability and solvency to our economic policies. Everyone around the world right now is saying the United States of America is no longer a stable trading partner. There's no longer you can rely on American might and the American economy and American greatness. They're withdrawing from the global stage and empowering other people, our competitors like China, to fill that void. We need to reassert ourselves again on that global stage to bring economic stability to everyone here at home.
Do you expect, Kurt, that we'll see more of these protests and perhaps some of these fiery town halls that have come about?
Well, if the economy keeps going the way that it's going and the market keeps going in the direction it's going, yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of anger directed at policymakers who have just kind of rubber stamped Donald Trump's tariff agenda right now. I think the more that people check in and see they have less money in those nest egg accounts, in their 401ks, in their stock market portfolios, the more that anxiety is going to arise. And when anxiety rises, that's when protests spread.
What are you hearing about what's on the mind of independents, sort of all the folks in the middle that so often get overlooked when these political debates happen, when we look at the economy right now and some of the messaging from both sides?
Well, I think when you look at the elections that we had last week, some of the special elections in Florida, but also the one in Wisconsin, Wisconsin being a purple state where those middle of the road voters, those independent voices really do get to step up and be heard. But we saw a complete repudiation of the Trump Musk agenda. Elon Musk was the face of that special election. $20 million of his own money spent into this race, $100 million on the Supreme Court race spent by special interests. And the voters in Wisconsin gave a resounding victory to the Democrat by more than 10 points. That's what the middle of the road voters, that's where they're at right now. They are not finding this agenda popular at all.
Yeah, some of these early election results, a good indicator of what we may expect, but politics is unpredictable, certainly over the last couple of years. Kurt, appreciate the conversation.
Thanks for having me on, Marnie.